And let me get my stuff ready on this end. Ugh. My phone is just going super slow. Come on, you can work. Oh, sure, Eric. You are welcome. There we go. I found the video. Cool. Hey, Paul, thanks for joining us. Dean, thanks for being here. Eric, thanks for joining us. Jamie Sanders, thanks for being here. Seth, thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys joining me. All right. Hey, Fallen Jedi. Thanks for being here, man. So let me go ahead and let's get started. So today, we got two things we're going to talk about. One is we're going to open up Beast Man. Woo! And then we're going to talk about how to make a resealable clamshell on this. I'll show you my little trick for that. And two, we're going to talk about He-Man heads because someone had a question about different He-Man heads that I have and that I use. And so we're going to do a small little segment on that. And I'll just ask you guys some questions and stuff and just go from there. Hey, Juan Solo, thanks for joining us. Do a quick sound check to make sure it sounds okay. Great, that sounds good enough. Good enough. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with Beast Man. Here's my half a Beast Man that I have left. It's like he's crawling out of the muck. Oh. But this Beast Man is the Beast Man I use for my stop motion, so I drilled a hole in his back, and I'll talk about that a little bit. The stop motion did really good. We got over 1,000 hits in 24 hours, so thank you for your help for sharing, everybody. Feel free to keep sharing to keep the hits up, and it'd be cool if I hit like 1 million or something someday. That would be totally awesome. So I do appreciate all your guys' help for trying to get that up and going, and people knowing about the stop motion He-Man video. Oh, I got my light way in the wrong spot. Let me go and get these lights adjusted so you guys can see better. There we go. That looks better. My day was pretty good today. Thanks, Eric, for asking. All right, so we're going to open up Beast Man. Beast Man! And Beast Man's a really cool figure. I bought a second one just a little while ago because I drilled a hole in his back, and I was like, I need one now that doesn't have a hole in his back, so that's why I bought this other one. And it shows the cool artwork on the back. And it says, ferocious Beastman uses mind control to force animals to do Skeletor's evil bidding. And it shows this ferocious beast of a Beastman. And how cool is that drawing? Then we see these cool creatures all coming to attack. So kind of fun. And of course, you guys know from the cartoons and stuff that he can't control dragons. How much do you make the mouth move on stop motion video? Oh, how do you make? That's a great question, Eric. I actually have a video on that, and I will post a link to it in the description if you come back to this video later. All right, so it does show the whip being held and how it holds, and his body can move, and other figures in the line. And this is the He-Man with the older head. And then we have Tila and Man-at-Arms, and of course this is the I believe he's from the first run, the first wave of figures. Now this box right here has been kind of hacked a little bit, so I may not be able to do my cool trick I was going to show you. I didn't realize the box was already broken on the side, but we'll see. So let me go ahead and try to open this carefully. And I'm just going to cut around this, and I'm going to leave a little bit of plastic still on here if I can do this right. Usually I leave a whole lot more than this, but unfortunately this one has had some damage. And sometimes it's easier to do this with a razor blade than it is a scissors. Yeah, this is not going too well. I'll have to do it with a different figure tonight to show you how to do it, because this one is already cut so low, it may not quite do what I want it to. Ugh. All right, let's get him out of there. Get out of there, Beast Man. So, there he is. Now, I never understood. He's supposed to be half man, half beast, his race of people, or is it just that it's just a toy different race, completely different, or, you know, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. Now, it was funny. When I was a kid, I used to remember looking at all their muscles and seeing how they were different. And I remember Beastman had kind of the thinner swimmer's muscles compared to He-Man and Man-at-Arms and Skeletor. In fact, you know what? I have some of the commemorative so I can show you. So, you see, in the 80s figures, Beastman had kind of more of these slimmer kind of biceps. Oop. And then Skeletor, I'm sorry, Man-at-Arms and He-Man had the giant arms. See the difference in the definition of them? And then Skeletor is right in between. His arms were not as big as He-Man's, but bigger than Beastman's. And so when I was a kid, I used to kind of line these up according to their, you know, muscles, sort of, where it's funny, Skeletor's left arm was more defined than his right. You can see it's actually wider on his left than his right. When you're a kid, you're staring at these figures all day long. You know, you start to notice all these things like that. So He-Man actually did have more muscles than Beastman and Skeletor, but Beastman had the least amount, which also was the same as it was for Stratos too, because he had the same arms and stuff. So I always thought that was kind of cool when I was a kid that they had all different muscle tones. But when it comes to the Origins and the Classics, they have the exact same arm piece, which always kind of bothered me with Classics. I kind of wish they would have done the same thing, where they actually had different different builds for the arms and legs and stuff. But oh well, I guess they can all have the exact same muscle structure. So let me go ahead and set this Beastman aside for a minute so we can talk about... Oops, that's not your arm piece. That's why it's not fitting on there. It's your arm piece. So when you put Beastman's arm pieces on, and this is the old figure, notice the... well, that's bizarre. Let's just go to the new figure. Okay. Let me go ahead and cut this. Get it free. I'll check your guys' comments in a moment. See what you guys are posting on the comments. You need to get the Snake Attack playset because it works perfect with Origins. I'll have to get that. I keep hearing lots of good things about it. Alright, so we got the whip. The whip. Indy, throw me the whip. And as funny as this style of whip they've had through all the different figures we saw in the 80s and stuff. And this was actually a Big Jim. Let me see if I can find Beastman's whip down here. Man-at-Arms. He-Man. There we go. Well, this is Adam and Beastman. You can see this style of whip they had was actually from Big Jim. And so it had a wider grip because the Big Jim characters had bigger hands. And they used a lot of Big Jim parts with He-Man. And so technically people always take and have him hang onto the handle like this, but that would not make a good whip. That's like me for talking through it to yell at somebody, hey, you know. But so I used to always stretch his hand out and put it across and put this in the back of his knuckles. But then I started putting it in his open hand, and it seems to work better to stick it in his open hand. So this is not really made to be a handle per se. People keep using it as. It was always made to be like a guard. And like I said, the original guy, which is from a character called the Whip from Big Jim, actually had that shape of a whip, and that's why they just kind of carried it through. Now I'm kind of glad they didn't do the same thing with the classics and the 2000X, but they brought it back just for the origins. So there we go, we got the same giant whip. Now how to put these on. So when you put on the armbands, hopefully you got a left and a right. I've heard people sometimes have gotten 2 lefts or 2 rights for the armbands, which, you know, it's understandable that Mattel did that accidentally. You want the large bump up because you notice they point upwards. And then when you slide it on, you want the plug to be in the back that holds it together. So just like that, large bump on top and the plug in the back. Same with this one. Now, if you can't put the large bump up on both and have the attach point in the back, then you have your 2 lefts or 2 rights. So there you go. That's how your Beastman should look when you have them assembled. All right, so there is my new Beastman. Now let's talk about how to reseal the box. So let's say, for instance, you decide you want to put Beastman back in the box. You want to have his armor on or whatever because it looks cooler with the armor on. So you slide him on in there. All right, then you take one of your other boxes you've opened in the past and you just very carefully cut around it as low as you can. Cut. There we go. Ta-da. And then you just slide this back over the top, just like so. And that will give you a nice sealed look, so it looks like he's back in the package, like he's never been removed. And I've seen, in the past, I've seen people take and put glue on it to actually glue that around and hold it in place. And that works pretty good too. Actually, his arms aren't jammed all the way in there. Let me jam his arms in there so you can actually close it all the way. Ugh. Put your head back, man. Relax. You're going to be in here for a long, long time. Ooh. There you go. Dun-da-da. And it looks really cool on your shelf. It looks like you never opened it. And that's one quick way to do that, is if you save all those. And I've been saving a pile of them in case I ever decide to do that. So I've been saving all my plastic tops. And that's just a cool way to do it. I know some people will carefully cut the bottom and slide them out the bottom, but you always have that weird flap down there. And this way it just, you know, quick pull off. There you go. Now normally I leave this cut higher, about right here, so I have a lot of overlap over the two. But like I said, this one was broken on the side, so I couldn't have quite the same overlap I usually have. Dun-da-da. There you go. All right, let's see your guys' comments. Can you do a video on head cannon of He-Man? Your head cannon. That'd be kind of cool to do. I have thought about doing that before, about Hebro's storyline of how he thinks the figures are, the toys. And mine is a little different. I have a couple different cannons that are different storylines. I guess it's not canon if I make it up. Different storylines that I have followed. Ooh. There we go. All right, so before I jump into the He-Man heads, let's go ahead and talk about a little bit about stop motion, just for fun. Let me move these off here. It's always good to save some of these rubber bands. I found them very handy when doing customs to have a couple of those available. For a while, I started getting too many, so I started tossing them. Okay, so let me pull this guy's legs off. Now, when I drilled the hole in this guy's back, I wish that I would have drilled it under his armor so I'd have a spot, but it actually worked out good. So the issue is when you're doing stop motion, you'll notice the first part of my video, everyone's kind of just sloughing around and not walking very well. But then I really wanted Beastman to be able to do more than just shuffle his feet. So I grabbed a drill halfway through the filming and I mounted this support, which stabs right into his back. There we go. So now Beastman had more support, so he can actually lift his legs, he can actually walk, and so you'll see in some of the video, you'll see part of the clear thing behind there. And if you stick a weight on there or something or hold it, now you can have him jump up and do all kinds of stuff and fling back, and you know, so that's why I drilled a hole in his back, just so I could do some cool movements with him and not have him tied to the ground. Because you know, when you walk, you know, sometimes you're kind of unbalanced when you're in that mid step, but using that extra support helped me balance them out. So there you go. That way you don't have to move so crazily, which, you know, it's kind of fun to do some of the stuff, because then you could have him, you know, like he just got punched by He-Man or something, you know, and take that, you fiend, you know. So some cool stuff. Let's see. How did you do the part where He-Man falls hanging onto the net? So that part, I actually had him in the net. I set my camera on slow motion, and I just literally had a string that I pulled on the switch. And as I pulled the string, then it released the thing, and he actually was like this, and he fell down into the net and with the slow motion camera on. And then just kept working one little spot at a time, just like you do with normal stop motion, to have him kind of fling his way out of the net. So there you go. All right, let's go ahead and talk about He-Man's heads. So let me go and pull these guys in here. Let me get these scissors out of here. So the question was, this guy was watching one of my videos, and he says, hey, where'd you get that really cool He-Man head? I really like the way it looks. And I wasn't sure which one he was talking about, and he said, the one you use all the time. And so I wasn't quite sure which one it was. So I was thinking it was this one here, which this head right here is actually from the Battle Armor He-Man. But then it may have been the head, this head right here, which is from the 2-pack from the He-Man Prince Adam Comic-Con 2-pack. So let me show this head here so you can kind of see what that head looks like. So if you're watching, I did send you a link. You can kind of see the difference in the heads. And I think you mentioned the eyebrows going down, which I think is probably more this head here. Which if it is, this is just the Battle Armor He-Man head, which is actually a lot cheaper than getting these heads, because I don't think this is the eyebrows you were talking about. Come on, focus. There we go. So let's go ahead and look at the other heads that he came with. So I haven't opened these yet. And we have the head with the new ones, which unfortunately he's at the wrong angle. And his head looks very similar to that of the Battle Armor He-Man. And then we have the original head that we got. There it is. Which, you know, this head is actually growing on me. I actually kind of like this head. In fact, I would like to actually make this head into a blue version for Faker. Because Faker never came. Where is my Faker? Faker. I'm not sure where I stuck him. Oh well. Faker never came with that style of head. So we saw both Prince Adam and He-Man did. And then of course we have this head right here, which came from the 3-pack from the PowerCon, which had the blue vest from Classics. And I literally just pulled the head off and stuck it on him. I didn't have to do any modifications at all. Well, it doesn't fit as tight as it used to. It used to fit really tight, but I guess it's been on there so long now. And I really like this head because it really shows or looks like the comic book. And I think it actually looks better on the classics. I'm sorry, not the classics, but it looks better on the Origins than it did on the classics. On the classics, it looked kind of small, but on the Origins, it actually looks about the right size. So I actually like how that came out for that head. But again, trying to get this head would be pretty spendy. But if you happen to have a leftover one, it works really good. All right, when you compare the Origins vintage head and the 80s one, they are totally different once you oh, definitely. Yeah, the 80s head is way different than the ones they made to look like the 80s heads. That is for sure. But you know what? Let me just go grab 80s head He-Man. I happen to have one on my shelf right here. So here's my box of original 80 He-Man and Tila. Let's go ahead and pull them out of here. Now I did stick a regular 80s head on one of my commemoratives, which also look way different. So you can see here is the original 80s head, and here is the head that's made to look like the 80s head for Origins. So yeah, they are a lot different. That Classics head face kind of looks like you with glasses and long hair. That's funny. All right, and of course the commemorative one, which I don't know how to do my commemorative He-Man. I have to put him somewhere. Oh, he's sitting right here. Erp. Of course, looks even different yet than all of them. I think that something must have happened in the mold when they were copying the head, because it's just so different. Now, I did meet a guy online one time. He actually likes the commemorative head the best out of all of them. You know, but for me, the 80s head is the one that I remember, so that's the one that has to look like to me. But anyway, cool. Hopefully that answers your question on which head you were looking at in my other video. I don't remember which one it was when I shot the video anymore, but from the description you gave, I'm guessing it's actually this head here, which is from the Battle Armor He-Man. So there you go. Cool. All right, let's check out your guys' questions. The nose in the commemorative one is better. Yeah, I suppose it is better. The nose. Just, something just looks off about him. Maybe it's the hair. I don't know. So the way you can tell if you have a commemorative one or not is the coloring is different, and the boots have a lip around them. That's one way you can tell off the bat. Also, too, the detailing is not quite as high. All right, but I actually do like the coloring, and I do like the quality of the figure, so I actually do like the commemorative builds better with the old heads on it. I didn't realize all the He-Man episodes are on YouTube free. Well, that's cool. Thanks, Pierce, for letting us know. Let's see any other questions. I wish they could get we would get some toys based on the recent DC comic He-Man series. Yeah, some of those look kind of cool. The Classics head face kind of looks like, oh, you already read that one. I don't get why Mattel didn't put forearm cast on the Origins line. Did not put forearm cast. I'm not sure what you're meaning there. I got something blue on this guy. Wonder if it's blue paint or if it's coming off. Oh, looks like it's blue paint. Must be some other figure tossing him inside my tub. I think I saw it blue on another figure too one time. So I got to figure out what's causing that blue. But of course, I do really like this figure. This one right here is from that 2-pack. And I know it's kind of silly, but the knife boot just is so cool. And I know it's not worth $400 to get the knife boot, but his skin tone is different, you can see. So I did end up sewing the Prince Adam out of this, and then I made a 2000X He-Man out of him. And then I went and kept most of the Prince Adam parts, so I was able to reconstruct them. Where is he? I may have put him somewhere safe so he wouldn't be in my bin with all these other figures. Yep, I put him somewhere safe. He's in the other room. All right, let's check your last final questions, and then I'll call this video over. I feel like Shira didn't get enough. Didn't take Hordak seriously enough. Yeah, she didn't. It was kind of crazy. He-Man is such a great role model. Now kids are watching Subvert. Oh, yeah, it's crazy. It's like $400 for that set now. It's just ridiculous. All right. Well, maybe sometime soon I'll make another stop motion. I do want to make a series on how to make your own stop motion for those that are interested. So I think that'll be a lot of fun to like do a 6-part series on Saturday night again, like I did with the custom figures, and then I could show you guys some cool stop motion tricks. I think it'd be really cool. One of the hardest parts about doing stop motion is how far you move the figure. Most people are so anxious to get into the movement they want that it's too jerky. And I try to shoot mine between 15 to 30 frames a second. And I found sometimes you may have to film yourself to know how many frames it takes to move your arm, and you'll be surprised. I remember one time I was watching this thing about Disney, and they spent 30 frames causing Snow White to close her eyes to blink. And it's like 30 frames of her blinking. So a lot of times motion is a lot slower than you think. And when you're thinking 30 frames per second, and how long does it take to move your arm up? Let's see, 1,000, 2. It takes approximately 2 seconds to raise your arm up like this. So if it takes 2 seconds, that is 60 frames of video. So 60 frames mean you got to be moving it just a little hair at a time. Click, 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 all the way up until you get up to where you want it. And most people move it like a quarter each time, and that's just not going to work. So the hardest part about stop motion that you'll find out when you go through our class is actually patience of not moving it too fast too much. And sometimes it drives you crazy just moving it just incremental, such small pieces. Let's see, Pop Actor Rick made his own PowerCon 2-pack. Nice. Oh, Eric asked again about stop motion make the mouse move. I will send you a link to the video, Eric, and you can watch that video. I'll put the link in the description for everybody else, so you guys can come back and see it. Thanks, Dean. Yep, I try to keep it really smooth as I can. So when my kids were younger, we used to make stop motion together, and it was a lot of fun. We actually used sticky notes to keep track of when explosions happen or something else. You can see those going to my stop motion section of my channel and watch the stuff I used to make with my kids when they were little. See, Master Farr, can you do a video on your grandkids consider good guys? Really, I probably could do some of it. I don't like putting the grandkids on camera, but which would really be fun if I could. But I feel uncomfortable about that, and their parents do too. So I usually don't put the grandkids on camera very often. Oh yeah, Harryhausen, his stuff is amazing. I remember watching Sinbad when I was a kid. Yeah, his stuff is awesome. He's one of the first reasons I got into stop motion when I first started doing it. So, yep, his stuff is amazing. Just a video on who they consider good and evil, like a lineup. Yep, I'll have to do that. Like I mentioned before, my kids, when they were little, they used to think that Merman was the good guy, and that was always cool. And so was Jitsu. Jitsu was called $1 Million Hand. Look at his crazy eyes. I never noticed how his eyes are so crazy looking. I shall find you, because I have lizard eyes. Anyway, Triclops, you got someone going for your. I mean, think how far he could see on both sides if his eyes could go around like lizard eyes. I mean, he'd have a 180 view. It'd be hard to sneak up on him with that 180 view. Not 360 like we do with Triclops. Let's see. Who's the best motor character and and why is it Moss Man? That's funny. All right, you guys. We'll make a Hebrew short about his origin. That'd be kind of cool, Mike. Yep, I'm working on it. I'm working on Marlena's ship. Once Marlena's ship is done, then I can do the short on Hebrew. Because, as you guys know, the story is he got the Bible from Marlena's ship. So I'm working on it. It's really cool. It's going to be a ship she can sit in, full size, and it's going to be able to shoot Nerf darts on the sides of it. So I'm pretty happy about it. Right now, my 3D printer is broken. I did order some more parts, but they won't be here for about a month. So right now, I can't print 3D plastic like this anymore, just resin. So this is all that I have left, and once those are gone, that is the end of them. This one's closing tomorrow, I think. So if you want to get this, tomorrow is your last chance to get it. And I probably should have added a link in the description. But, so my printer is down. I'll keep working on the castle floor, though. But I won't be able to print it or test it for a while to see how for sizing. Yes, Stratos is seen as a bad guy in the first comic. And remember, originally, Triclops was going to be a good guy. So, because he has the heroic arms and the heroic legs, Mattel was going to actually make him a good guy originally. And then they made a change at the end to make him a bad guy. So I've never considered Triclops like a true evil guy. I consider him more like a mercenary where, he'll do things to the highest bidder, but yet he still kind of has a little bit of a moral conscience. So almost like, what character is that? He's from DC Comics. He's Robin's bad guy, and he's got the black over one eye. Oh, it's the DC equivalent of Deadpool. What is his name? Triclops did nothing wrong. Beastman, good guy too. Yes, Zodak was originally evil. And they turned him neutral eventually. And what's funny, if you take a look at the 80s figures, you will never see an 80s figure that has heroic legs and evil arms, or evil arms and heroic legs. They never mix those. Even though they mix some of the other stuff, they would never mix those legs and arms. So Skeletor always had, or the figures that had Skeletor's arms would also have the evil legs, or whoever had the heroic arms would also have the heroic legs. So it was kind of funny how they did that. But we did see some mixing when it came to Beastman, because we saw that his hairy chest was used for Zodak one time. So there was a little mixing on that. But it was just an extra throw-in they had for the glow-in-the-dark ring. It came both with Triclops and it came with Trapjaw. Trapjaw and Triclops had the ring. And it was supposed to be for you to wear. You get the ring, you get to wear it, and you're part of the club. It was a special club ring. Yep. Oh, the 82 Grayskull art. That is just my favorite. It's like, I actually liked the way it was originally set up, where there were no real good guys or bad guys. It was just whoever you picked that day. And when my kids were little, that's what we used to do with them, was we'd sit around and we'd pick all the guys we're going to play with, and it would be one team against the other. So you might have He-Man and Beastman on one team, and you might have Triclops and Man-at-Arms on the other team, and that would be one kid's team and the other kid's team, and that would be who they would battle. And so when my kids were little, I never told them the story about He-Man. I never told them their names. So they named all their figures. Like I said, they named this guy $1 Million Hand because his hand was gold. And all the guys, expected it to be spring just now. It's not spring loaded. And it was just funny how, they named them all whatever they wanted for that moment. Like Merman was actually named Fred. So their merman was Fred. And Fred used to drive the battle ram. So that was Fred's vehicle, was the battle ram. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, it makes more sense to me. Almost like capture the flag. you pick your teams, and then you capture the flag, and then you turn the flag around depending on which side you want it on. I use my He-Man's Origins chest thing on my old He-Man guy, and it fits. Nice. All right, well, I'm going to call this quits. Thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Hey, I didn't have to use any hot water today, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. There we go. The hot water is off. The heat is off. Oh, wait, that's not how the song goes. Anyway, oh, I did do a little bit more sanding on Skeletor's head to get the face to sit a little further back in the hood. So you can see how that looks now with the face a little further back now. So I think it looks way better. I haven't glued it yet. I just want to make sure I'm really comfortable with how it looks before I glue it. And once I get it just the way I want, then I'll throw the super glue on there. But I think it's there. I think that it is finally at the place I want it to be. So that is cool. And this is my essential He-Man for Revelation. He has the 2 regular arm cuffs. Instead of the weird shield one, he has the head from the Savage He-Man. And of course I stuck his sword in his back. So for right now, this is the one I'm using. But I'm thinking about maybe turning a Savage He-Man into a regular He-Man. So we'll try that out probably in a few days. Sometime maybe even next weekend. I got some extra He-Man parts here. I tried pulling his belt off. Oops. Ugh. I tried pulling his belt off the other day on one of them, and I ended up ripping the belt. So they are kind of hard to get off. So I don't know if I'll be able to get a belt off. But I have 2 chances. I have 2 tries. So I will try it at least twice. And then if I still can't get the belt off, then I might have to call it quits. I may have to break one of them in half to get the belt off. So you may see some carnage of me snapping a He-Man in half to get the belt off. Hey Todd, do you have your Royal Guard, Palace Guard? Nope. I just put in the thing to go ahead and send them to me. So we'll see how long Big Bad Toy Store takes to send it to me. All right, Evil Lyn Beastman is my favorite metal band. That's funny. Use an X-Acto knife. All right. I need to give them more songs. All right, I'm really going to cut this video now. 3, 2, 1. Good journey.